What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of The Unbiased Hard Take. We have lots to talk about, lots to get into. A massive show for you guys this week. Last week, everyone knows we were doing our fantasy football 3rd annual mock draft special. So go check that out if you haven't already done so. Sort of a fun, looser atmosphere, just sort of chopping it up. Had 3 of the league members there drafting, that includes me. JV was there. He's in the video as well. So check that out if you have not already done so. Great content. And check us out on Facebook. Fantasy football we'll be following that throughout the season on our Facebook page. So more reason to go check out our Facebook page. Link will be down below. We got a lot of great content on there, and you don't want to miss out on any of that. As well as subscribe on YouTube. A lot of our shorts in particular hit thousands of views, and we want to see those views turn into normal subscribers. So with that, subscribe on YouTube. We appreciate the support from you guys, and we have a big show, like I said. And the big news story is, as everyone knows, we've been sort of going around the league. We've already done the AFC and NFC North, East, and South as far as breaking down divisions. So we're going to finish that up this week. We had to take a break from that last week because of the mock draft special, and we'll be doing the NFC West and AFC West, as well as breaking down some preseason games. The Browns, the Raiders, and last night's Cardinals-Cowboys games are certain games I'm wanting to talk about here. So with that, we're going to jump right on into it. And we're going to start with the Browns, because that's probably where I have most to say. And the Browns, as everyone knows, are in a quarterback battle. Imagine that. And of course, Deshaun Watson's trying to come back off of a couple torn and ruptured Achilles. He ruptured them twice, I believe. Is now coming back off of missing another season, all of last season as well. And of course, in the first preseason game, I believe that was against, the Bears, Deshaun Watson went 11 for 15 for 126 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. That same game against the Bears, Shedeur Sanders went 6 for 11 for 79 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. And then, of course, on yesterday's preseason game, Deshaun Watson looked absolutely abysmal. Was 5 for 12 for 36 yards, 1 interception, a QBR of 14.6. And Shedeur Sanders was 9 for 11 for 74 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, QBR of 87.1. And Deshaun Watson had a lot to say. He was booed in yesterday's preseason game, something that should really be used to at this point. But it does not seem that he is, because this article, we're going to read it here. It comes from CBS Sports, and it says, quote from Deshaun Watson, "The world knows it has nothing to do about the performance. It's a little bit more personal than that, so I think it's a disrespectful thing." Is what Deshaun Watson said. He did note Saturday wasn't the first time that he felt this. He added that he gets treated better by opposing fans. He said, "I tore my Achilles, and that same fan base, they cheered. And it hurt," he said. "What does that have to do with anything? When a person gets hurt, especially in your home stadium," is what Deshaun Watson said. So Deshaun Watson is trying to make this personal. And let's be real. Let's be honest about Deshaun Watson here. Half of what he said is true. They do boo you because of what you've done. I mean, Michael Vick at one point was one of the most unpopular players of all time. And unlike Michael Vick, Deshaun Watson has not been criminally charged or convicted of anything. It was all civil stuff. So they had no lawsuit. There was no criminal conviction, nothing like that. Mike Vick was actually criminally convicted and sent into a federal prison. Michael Vick at one point in the 2000s was one of the most unpopular players of all time. And he was hated and booed. Especially when he first got back. There were protests once he first got back and signed with the Philadelphia Eagles once he got released from prison. But people stopped booing him. People started liking Mike Vick again. People stopped booing him. Why is that? Because he played really good football for the Philadelphia Eagles. He was an MVP candidate. He made the Pro Bowl a couple times once coming back. And he had very good seasons with the Philadelphia Eagles and led them to the playoffs. So his performance is what made the boos stop. The Browns, I promise you, they haven't had a good quarterback ever, especially since coming back into the NFL. And they had Baker Mayfield, but they blew that opportunity. They have no quarterback, as we know. And they haven't had a quarterback since, well before I was born. And I'm 30. So with that, If you were to give the Browns fan base and the dog pound to Deshaun Watson, even though that they may not like you as a person, and that they aren't going to care because you're winning football games. They're going to cheer for you. Just like the Eagles fans did for Michael Vick back in the day. If you secure the Browns quarterback spot and bring something to that fan base that they haven't had in their history, really, which is good quarterback play and winning a Super Bowl, if you could make a Pro Bowl and win a Super Bowl as a Browns quarterback, it doesn't matter what, you could have killed somebody. And no one's going to care because you won. You're a winner. The Browns fans haven't had much to cheer about since the 90s. There's some Browns fans that don't even understand what winning looks like. They've never experienced it because they've been so bad their whole life. And that's honest to God's truth. So if he were to be able to go out there and actually play well and perform well and win games for the Cleveland Browns, no one will be talking about his sex scandal case and his civil lawsuits for the massage therapists. There wouldn't be really much talk about that. There might be a little bit of protest, but as far as booing from fans, that would not be happening if he were performing better. There's two sides of the coin, and that's the side he's not failing to see. Yes, they do hate you because of what you've done. But the other side of the coin is they wouldn't care if you played well. But you combine the fact of that you've gotten all this money from the Cleveland Browns, and you've performed this badly, and it hasn't worked out to this point. And at this point, his contract that he signed with the Browns may go down as the worst contract in NFL history. On top of your off-the-field issues, you're playing like crap, losing games, not earning your money from the organization, which is frustrating for the fans, on top of those civil lawsuits and stuff off the field, you combine both of those and you're going to be the most hated player in the league. You can't be both. You can be a bad person and be a great player, and you can be a bad player and be a good person. But you can't be both. That's a horrible combination. And that's just the reality. If he were to be playing better, no one would be talking about this. No one would care about his civil lawsuits if he was playing MVP level football. But he's not. He's playing awful football, and really, Deshaun Watson's cooked. I mean, talking about the Browns a little bit, it's obvious that Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback on that roster. I mean, I had a second-round grade on Shedeur, and I thought I was being cruel. Of course, we all know that Shedeur should have been drafted way higher than he actually was. He was blackballed to a point. But ultimately, he is the best option. He's a cheaper option, too. But like I said on our Facebook page yesterday, I was talking about it. The big question isn't who the best quarterback is. It's not. The big question for the Browns is, are they willing to let Deshaun Watson's contract sit on the shelf like that on opening day? Because it's hard. We know it's a business in the NFL. It's hard to let that kind of money sit. It's obvious that Shedeur is the best option, but I'm not 100% convinced that the Browns are going to want to sit that type of money on the bench at the start of the season. I actually was almost 100% convinced that Deshaun Watson was going to be the starter until yesterday's gaming comments. I do think now there is some wiggle room for Shedeur because Todd Monken did bounce back a little bit and sort of snip back at his starting quarterback, pretty much agreeing with what I just said and saying that if he were to play better, then it would stop. And when your head coach is saying that, your brand new head coach is saying that, that doesn't bode very well once you've talked bad about the fans on the organization that you're playing for. You're talking bad about your fans. You're showing frustration, you're making comments at the microphone, and you're playing bad. So you're making unnecessary headlines in the media, which we know coaches do not like that. On top of bad performance, I do think maybe that has opened the door to actually put that money on the bench and actually bench Deshaun Watson in favor of Shedeur Sanders. Deshaun Watson, with his comments yesterday, did not help his case. Had he just took accountability, said he didn't play good enough and he needs to be better, I think that would have helped his case much more than what he did yesterday. But I think maybe he's to a point where he's getting his guaranteed money no matter what, and I don't think he cares. He said yesterday that he doesn't regret coming to Cleveland. And of course he doesn't regret coming to Cleveland because he had a 5-year, $230 million fully guaranteed contract. Though maybe, in my opinion, the worst transaction in the history of the NFL, maybe even of sports. I mean, that's just what it is, though. People don't care about the 20 to 24 settlements that he reached in 2022 about the sex masseuses and stuff like that. If you would be playing better football, because Michael Vick was forgiven by Eagles fans for way worse. He was a convicted felon and sent to actual prison. So you can't make that excuse when we have examples otherwise. I mean, O.J. Simpson may be one of the worst humans of all time, and he's still in the NFL Hall of Fame. So, I mean, that just is what it is. Like I said, had he be playing better, it'd be a whole different conversation. And Shedeur, hopefully, if the Browns are serious about this coming season and are actually wanting to win this coming season, they're going to start Shedeur Sanders. We'll see how serious the Browns are. And we'll be able to tell that, because if they decide to go with Deshaun Watson on opening day, that's going to prove that they're not serious about this season. And that's just reality. But I am going to move on a little bit away from the Deshaun Watson talk. We're going to talk about another quarterback. I won't say there's really a quarterback controversy. As we know, everyone believes that the Raiders are going to be starting Kirk Cousins on opening day. But Fernando Mendoza, the other day, and against the Texans, went 8 for 15 for 86 yards. No touchdowns, 1 interception, and that interception was a pick 6. People are starting to freak out now. Oh no, he's going to be a bust. There's room for concern now. You already see it all over the internet. But there's really, in my opinion, no reason to freak out. He's a young player. That's going to happen. This is the point of preseason, to make those mistakes now, get those game reps now. That way, when the games actually start and are actually meaningful, those things aren't going to happen. Yes, a rookie quarterbacks throw interceptions. But the thing is, you've already seen, I don't think it's anything to be concerned about. That was the only bad throw he made, and it's really been the only bad throw he made all preseason. Because the first preseason game for the Raiders versus Cardinals, Mendoza was 10 for 16, 97 yards, 1 touchdown. QBR was 100.3. People were hailing him a Hall of Famer after that game. And now, of course, after the second preseason game where he didn't look as good as the first preseason game, people are naturally going to overreact again, but in the other direction. But the reality is you want those mistakes to be made now so he can learn. And he does have Kirk Cousins, who's had NFL success over a good period of time, that he can sort of learn from and see how an NFL quarterback operates, how a successful NFL quarterback operates. And reports are that Mendoza's been like the first guy in, the last guy out, working hard, putting his nose down, getting the work done, and that's what you want. I mean, Peyton Manning holds the record for most interceptions by a rookie quarterback, and he still holds it to this day. If Peyton Manning had the rookie season, if you take Peyton Manning's career and drop it now, and Peyton Manning has that type of rookie season in today's game, he wouldn't have made it all season long, because people overreact now in the day of social media. And that's just what it is. Mendoza's going to be fine. I think he's going to be a franchise quarterback. And ultimately, like I said, rookie quarterbacks are going to throw interceptions. They're going to make mistakes. It'd be different had he thrown multiple interceptions in multiple games. But, I mean, Mendoza looked absolutely outstanding in the Raiders-Cardinals preseason game, the first go-around. And he actually, beyond that pick 6 against the Texans, looked very good too. And let's not act like the Texans have a slouch defense. They're literally one of the best defense in the NFL. I would argue they maybe are the best defense in the NFL. I mean, they single-handedly won games for the Texans last year. DeMeco Ryans is easily, in my opinion, the best defensive mind in football. So you got to put respect on that. I mean, a rookie quarterback, even for this preseason, going up against that Texans defense, that's not an easy task. So, and it's on the road in Houston. So you do have to take those things into consideration. It's a preseason game. It's not the end of the world. It's going to be okay. It's like people were telling me, oh, the Packers won a preseason game. Oh, it doesn't count. Oh, it doesn't matter. Preseason's irrelevant. Well, have that same mentality when it comes to Mendoza then, because you can't have it both ways. You cannot say preseason does not matter and that it's irrelevant and then turn around and criticize a rookie quarterback for having a bad pass and maybe a bad performance. You can't do that, especially when Mendoza played absolutely outstanding the first go-around. He's going to be just fine. It is the Raiders. There's going to be some growing pains. It's not like the Raiders have been known for winning games as of the last 10, 20 years. It's not like they're known for winning. So let's be real here. Some expectations. Mendoza's probably not going to start the season anyway. And that's going to be good for him in the long run. Kirk Cousins can go out there, see what he can do, gives him an opportunity to play well, and sort of earn back his respect as a starting quarterback in the NFL. And Mendoza can sit back and watch someone who's had success in the league actually operate the offense, and then he can learn that way. It's something Green Bay's done for years. Develop your young quarterback off the bench. And I think the Raiders are making the right decision here. They shouldn't start Mendoza right away. You have a chance of screwing it up, killing his confidence, especially in the AFC West, which we'll get into that conference here in a minute. But before we do get into that conference, I do want to talk about a little bit of the Cowboys and Cardinals game yesterday. And Cardinals got carved up. I mean, I can't wait for the Cardinals to play Green Bay this week in the preseason at Lambeau, because the Cardinals allowed 413 total yards in a preseason game. I don't think people know how hard that is to do. That's hard to do in any game, but especially in the preseason when you're not having consistent players on the field. So your quarterback can't necessarily get into a full game rhythm, your offensive line. Nothing's consistent in a preseason game. So I don't think people realize how many yards 413 is in a preseason game especially. And the Cardinals allowed 7.1 yards per play. I mean, the Cowboys were 6 for 10 on third down and were absolutely outstanding in the red zone at 3 for 6. So the Cardinals defense got absolutely shredded, especially by Joe Milton. I think Joe Milton has secured his job as the backup quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, Sam Howell didn't look very good. I mean, 7 for 10, 65 yards, and an INT. But Sam Howell, 9 for 13, 179 yards, 2 touchdowns, QBR dang near perfect, 151.4. So I think Milton has pretty much secured his job now as the backup quarterback in Dallas. He had some beautiful deep balls yesterday. There was a big plays yesterday for Joe Milton and that Cowboys offense. I mean, he absolutely was balling. Jaden Blue, 15 carries for 75 yards, averaged 5 yards a carry. And there was actually, Camden Brown had a long reception of 70 yards. Jonathan Minga, 53-yard reception. Jack Kuntz, number 47, had a 25-yard reception. So there were 3 plays yesterday that were 25 yards or more. They literally had a 70-yard play yesterday. The Cardinals defense allowed 3 25-plus yard plays. One went for 70, one went for 53, one went for 25. I think we know the Cardinals are going to be bad, but they very well may be the worst team in the league this year. We'll get into them here in a minute with the NFC West, but I think it's going to be a long season. Cardinal fans, if you're watching, I'm sorry, because y'all are going to be lucky to win a couple games. I'm not lying. It's going to be rough. Joe Milton tore y'all up. Joe Milton has earned himself a backup quarterback job. That was a small note I wanted to make. I was watching that 10 o'clock late game last night, and they were just throwing deep ball, big play. The Cardinals defense, they were just getting ate up. The Cowboys looked good. I felt bad for those Cardinal fans, because this game was in Arizona, and didn't really give them a lot to talk about. With that, we are going to talk a little bit about the Cardinals, because we're going to talk about the NFC West here, where the Arizona Cardinals, let's be real here, guys. I mean, they play in a conference here with the 49ers, the Seahawks, and the Rams. It's going to be a very rough season. That's 6 really rough games. They have a hard schedule because they have a hard division. The Cardinals may be looking for the Arch Manning contest for the draft. They tank for Manning is what pretty much is looking like, in my opinion, for the Cardinals here. I mean, I think Carson Beck will end up starting. I think he is the franchise quarterback and has the potential to be the franchise quarterback for the Cardinals. Obviously, Jacoby Brissett's going to end up getting the start at the start of the season for the Cardinals, and he ended up getting his contract situated. But I don't think they're going to be good enough. I think looking at halfway through the season, they could be 2-6, 1-8. That type of thing, and then at that point, they ain't going to be playing for much. And Carson Beck's definitely going to get some reps this season. There's no doubt. The offensive line is still a massive hole for them. It's been horrible this preseason. Receiving core is okay, though in my opinion, Marvin Harrison Jr. has been an absolute bust. Still has yet to have an 1,000-yard season in Arizona. So I think, of course, Jeremiah Love is the running back now for the Cardinals, but the big question is, similar to Ashton Jeanty, do they have enough offensive line protection to protect for Jeremiah Love? Because we've seen Ashton Jeanty didn't have an 1,000-yard season for the Raiders last year because their offensive line wasn't blocking very well. I think it will be a very rough season for the Cardinals. I don't think they're going to have a very good running game necessarily or passing game because that offensive line has been abysmal. And, of course, as we know, Marvin Harrison necessarily hasn't developed into that number 1 receiver that we thought he would turn into. Now, Mike LaFleur Matt LaFleur's younger brother, as we know, is the head coach now of the Arizona Cardinals. So they're going to go into an offensive direction. So I do think they'll be able to score some points. But with what I see in yesterday's preseason game, allowing a 70-yard catch, a 50-yard catch, and another 25-yard catch, they just kept allowing big play after big play. That might happen once, but it happened 3 times. And they allowed 5 yards of carry to a backup running back named Jeremiah Blue, something like that, yeah. So it was just an awful, abysmal performance for that defense. That Cardinals defense looks rough. It looks really rough, and so is the offensive line. That's why I think Jeremiah Love was the best player on the board when the Cardinals were drafting, but I thought they should have drafted some offensive line or some defensive help. Because it's kind of like they have a Ferrari, but they're living in the ghetto. You know what I mean? You've seen those kind of pictures on Facebook where there's like a beautiful sports car in front of this really crappy house. That's kind of what Jeremiah Love is at that point, in my opinion. He's a really nice piece, but you don't have the foundation. It's kind of like buying a swimming pool when your house is under renovation. You need to be worried about the renovation and the base of the house first, the base of the team, offensive line, defense, physicality, rather than a toy, which is what Jeremiah Love is. He's a good running back, but I worry about what they have to block for him. I think it could be a very rough season. I've seen in the fantasy leagues Jeremiah Love is being drafted very high, and I think that might be a bit of a mistake here. I truly do. Because I don't think the Cardinals have enough pieces to block for Brissett or Jeremiah Love, for that matter. And that defense isn't going to help either. The Cardinals are going to be one of the worst teams in the league this year. There's really, honestly, no hope for them, in my opinion. It'd be a miraculous miracle for them to win eight games. It's going to be rough for the Cardinals. Sorry, Cardinal fans. But we are going to move on to the real teams in this. I hate to say real teams in this division, but that's really what it is. We're going to talk a little bit here about the San Francisco 49ers. And the 49ers, they're old. They're a very old football team, and their offense goes as Christian McCaffrey goes. And he had a very healthy season last year. Pro Bowl, All-Pro, MVP level season again last year. The question with CMC is always, can he stay healthy? And that's not a guarantee, and especially with the 49ers in general. I mean, George Kittle's probably going to miss the start of the season. They've already have a bunch of injuries now. So I do think the 49ers, with their age, they're sort of an older team. Their offense last year sort of went off of Christian McCaffrey a little too much. They relied on him a little too much. And he's known to sort of get banged up a little bit. I mean, they have older receivers. They added Mike Evans. That's cool. Brought Debo back. He wasn't the same player with Washington. So they're sort of kicking the tires on some older players that are showing some injury history. Mike Evans got hurt last year for the first time, too. Debo has some injury history as well. So I don't think the Niners long-term will be able to stay healthy for a full season. They're a little older. George Kittle's been banged up. CMC's been banged up in the past, getting older as well. So I just don't. I'm not buying it. Their schedule is very difficult. Kyle Shanahan was even in a car accident recently and has had to miss time away from the team. So, I mean, your head coach is even injured. Their head coach is injured from a car accident. I mean, thank God and God bless that he's okay. Prayers for you. But that's bad luck, man. It's like snake bitten. It's the injury bug. It's a snake bitten. That's what the Niners are. I think the Niners are going to backtrack a lot this year. They were a playoff team last year. I understand that. They were in the thick of things till deep in the playoffs. I get it. I really do want a playoff game against the Eagles. But I don't know if I think their window has closed. They're older, injury-prone. I mean, last year they got drawn to the playoffs. I'm not convinced they can do that again this year, especially with the moves the Rams made to get better, as well as the defending champion Seahawks. So I do think the Niners will miss the playoffs this year. I think they'll be a very competitive team. I think they're around 8 or 9 wins here. I just think they're a little older, injured already. Head coach has been in a car accident and is injured. And it's just not been a good start for the San Francisco 49ers when it comes to health. So, and of course, like I said, I'm going to say it again, they are an old team. When you have injury history and you're an old team, the combination typically does not work out in the NFL. Go look at the history of teams that are old. They typically just don't work out. Like the Chiefs last year. They were getting a little older. Now they had to retool some things. They had a rough season because of it. I think the same thing is going to happen to the Niners. It's going to be a rough year. I mean, the Niners have had rough seasons under Kyle Shanahan before. So let's not act like that would be a first time this has happened. And I think it's going to happen again. 8 to 9 wins. I think if they were like in the NFC South, they would be a division champion. But playing Seattle twice a year, playing the Rams twice a year, that's a rough schedule for the Niners. So I think the Niners, maybe people are a little too high on the Niners this year. You got to look at the big picture. And with that, we are going to talk a little bit about the LA Rams. And the LA Rams, as we know, they're everyone's Super Bowl favorite. I mean, Aaron Donald could be coming back. He's been reported as working out for the Rams twice now. I mean, of course, you get Myles Garrett off the edge, the best defensive player in the league, a top 5 defensive player of all time, and it's not even close. I know JB's not a big fan of Myles Garrett, but Myles Garrett broke the all-time sack record with no one on the other side of him, with a non-successful team, not playing for anything. And what are the Browns doing a lot? They lose. So they're not winning a lot of these games. So there's no reason, really, for teams to throw the ball late in the game. They're trying to chew the clock out because they're already winning. Now, the Browns aren't winning in a lot of games. So in the fourth quarter, you're not going to have a pass. You don't really need a pass rusher to go out there and to pin their ears back and go get a win. That's not what Myles Garrett's been doing. He's been going and doing it for a losing football team for years. And now he has a chance where he's going to actually be winning in a lot of these games with the Rams. So in the fourth quarter, he may have more sacks because there's going to be more opportunities for him to get sacks because the other team is going to be down in the game late and they're going to have to throw the ball late rather than run the ball, which is what teams were doing when he was there in Cleveland, because Cleveland's losing a lot of games late in the game. So there's no reason for the other team to throw the ball. So Garrett's defending the run and not defending the pass. And that's not going to be the case in LA. LA's going to be ahead in a lot of these games. And they're the dream team. They are pretty much the dream team. Devontae Adams with league leading and receiving touchdowns. You got Puka, who's one of the best receivers in the league. Kyron Williams is in the 1,000-yard running back. You literally have the reigning league MVP coming in. You drafted the first-round quarterback, so you literally have your franchise quarterback leading behind the defending league MVP. And Ty Simpson looked outstanding in yesterday's preseason game, too, throwing a couple pair of touchdowns. So the Rams just look absolutely unbeatable on paper. An elite Super Bowl champion head coach, that's the big thing. It's on paper. And I do think, I'm not going to reveal my Super Bowl pick yet, the Rams are obviously going to be a playoff team. But I don't think that they're going to win this division so easily. The Seahawks are your defending champions, and the Seahawks have pretty much brought back every one of their starters, minus a couple of people, like Kenneth Walker. But they're bringing back most of their team. They still have JSN. They still have McDonald as their head coach, who's you can argue against DeMeco Ryans is the best defense in the league. You can definitely make that argument for DeMeco Ryans or McDonald as the best defensive mind in the league. Defending champions, you know they can do it. Sam Darnold, Super Bowl winning quarterback. JSN, I think he's maybe the best receiver in the league. On top of that, stout Seattle defense. Don't be sleeping on the defending Super Bowl champions. It feels like that maybe the defending Super Bowl champions aren't getting the respect they deserve. Because I believe, honestly, I would kind of transition to the Seahawks a little bit here, that the Rams and Seahawks will be fighting for this division. I mean, they're both going to be playoff teams. If the Rams win this division, I think the Seahawks will be easily the 5 seed in the wild card, and the same thing with the Rams. If the Seahawks win this division, the Rams will be the 5 seed, and then vice versa as well. So whoever does not win this division, both of these teams, Seattle and LA, are going to end up, in my opinion, making the playoffs, being double-digit winning teams, and really competing for a Lombardi trophy. You could argue both those teams are Super Bowl teams. But I'm not picking the Rams to win this division. That's the recency bias. Let's take off the foggers a little bit here. Let's look at the whole picture. I know it's easy to say now because they have Devontae. They got Myles Garrett. They've made all these off-season moves. They're the off-season champions. But we've heard that before. The last dream team we had was the Eagles. I know everyone remembers that Eagles dream team. I'm old enough to remember it. And it failed miserably. Everyone in the offseason was saying, oh, you're stupid. I remember that offseason. People were saying that offseason, you're stupid if you're not picking Mike Vick, Andy Reid, and the Eagles to win the Super Bowl this year. And they ended up missing the playoffs. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen to the Rams. I don't think that's going to happen. But let's not crown them yet. You got to earn it on the field. You got to still go out there and play the game. I don't think the Rams win this division. I think this division will end up being the Seattle Seahawks. I think the Seahawks will win 12 games, 11 games, and the Rams will be right behind them at around 10, 11 games as well. But I'm not going with the recency bias. I'm not picking the offseason champions. I'm picking the actual champions, the actual Super Bowl champions. People are disrespecting Seattle right now. Like, I've seen quarterback lists this top 10 this offseason that don't even have Sam Darnold as a top 10 quarterback. There are people right now not even picking the Seahawks to win their division. Why? What reason do we have to not pick the Seahawks? They're literally the defending Super Bowl champions. Oh, they have Myles Garrett now. Cool on paper. Now let's see it translate to the field. That's all I'm saying. I'm not disrespecting the Rams. They're going to be very good this season. But let's not crown them above the actual. Let's not crown the offseason champions above the actual Super Bowl champions. The Rams will be a wild card team, and a very good one, and a very dangerous one, and one that could very well win the entire thing. But the Seahawks are still the kings of the NFC West. And they're the Super Bowl champions. Put some respect on it. But I do want to move on a little bit here. We are going to move on to the AFC West, where we talked a little bit about the Raiders here. And the Raiders, I think, will be a lot better, and they'll be more competitive. They are still, in my opinion, going to be the bottom of this division, and they still have a lot of work to do. I mean, they have weapons. I mean, Brock Bowers is arguably the best tight end in the league. They have a couple receiving weapons as well. Now you got Ashton Genty in the backfield, Kirk Cousins and Mendoza at the quarterback position. Max Crosby still on the defense. And Kubiak's now the head coach, so I do like that head coaching move as well. So I do think the Raiders will be much better this season than they were previously. Made a lot of off-season moves, but they're not going to win this division. They're going to be at around 6 wins, 7 wins at best. I do think that Kirk Cousins will start probably the first 5 or 6 games of the season. They'll start out rough, losing record. Raiders Nation the black hole will get frustrated. And we're going to end up seeing Mendoza this season. This season is going to be a lot of development and just seeing where we are as far as the Raiders, see how competitive they are going to be, and building that foundation. That's what it really is going to be. I think 6 or 7 wins, as the kids would do, as we know, 6, 7. But I think 6 or 7 wins for the Raiders would be a very good season. But as far as playoffs, they're probably a year or 2 away. Now, everything goes right, and Mendoza ends up being the guy, and they can stay healthy, and these offseason acquisitions actually work out. I do think that the Raiders could be contenders in this division in the next 2 or 3 years, but they're not there yet. This is an evaluation season. See what we have in Mendoza, even see what we have in Kirk Cousins. And they have a lot of weapons around them, and see which quarterback can distribute the ball. Is Mendoza the guy? I think he is. That's really what this season is all about. And can Kirk Cousins, we kick the tires on Kirk Cousins a little bit as well. That's what this season is going to be for the Raiders. Not a lot of winning, but a lot of development and just seeing where they are. Like I said on the NFC West for the Cardinals, you need the foundation. I do think the Raiders have their foundation. They have found a good head coach. They found their franchise quarterback, in my opinion. They have a placeholder in Kirk Cousins. That way they don't have to throw their starting quarterback, the rookie quarterback Mendoza, to the Wolves immediately, which is smart. And they have weapons on offense. With the new head coach in Kubiak, I think the Raiders will be much better. It'll be a much better product this season, but they're not a winning football team yet. And then there's the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Chiefs, I've seen people saying, oh, they're going to miss the playoffs 2 years in a row. Oh, I'm not buying all that. I mean, they've made a lot of moves as well, bringing Kenneth Walker for the running game because they lost Pacheco to the Lions in the offseason. Travis Kelce's back. Patrick Mahomes looked very energetic on the sideline. Harrison Butker hit a very long field goal yesterday. It was like 68 or 69 yards in that preseason game yesterday against the Buccaneers. And once he hit it, Mahomes was there running around, jumping. He looked ready to go. And they do have Justin Fields, who's been known to make plays. I mean, he's very athletic. I mean, Justin Fields looked very good for Pittsburgh. He looked awful for the Jets. But let's be real, everyone looks awful for the Jets. So I think if anyone can get the best out of Justin Fields, it's going to be Andy Reid. So I think they'll be decent if Mahomes can't start the season. They do at least have an athletic, talented quarterback with Andy Reid. We know what kind of football mind Andy Reid is, so he'll get the most out of Justin Fields regardless. I mean, you have Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice. So I think that in the new defense as well, they brought in some pieces on defense. And, of course, Mahomes. Mahomes is going to be healthy this season. A lot of people are counting out the Chiefs. Don't count out Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Patrick Mahomes still is the best quarterback in the NFL when healthy. Like I said, don't let recency bias get it to you. On the NFL Top 100, Patrick Mahomes dropped out of the top 10. And that's a recency bias, low IQ football take. That's all that is. Because the Chiefs, I don't think they'll win this division this year. The days of them automatically winning the AFC West are over. Because you have Harbaugh and Herbert in Los Angeles, but you also have the Denver Broncos now with Bo Nix and Sean Payton. I do think the Chiefs will finish second in this division this year. I don't think they'll win the division. I do think the Broncos win this division this year. We'll get into them here in a minute. I think the the Chiefs finish second in this division and will be a 6 or 7 seed. The Chiefs will be back in the playoffs. They're going to be around 9, 10, 11 wins this season, I would expect. Because they do still have some holes on the team a little bit. There's some question marks as health. Is Travis Kelce washed up? Is Walker a true number 1 running back? I know they drafted a running back as well. I can't think of his name right now. But they will have a good 1-2 punch for the Chiefs on the running game. And of course, Mahomes coming back. When will he be back? That's the big question for them. If he misses, I'm under the account that he might miss the first game 2 or 3. And on top of playing against the Chargers twice a year and the Broncos twice a year, and let's be real, the Raiders have improved too. Maybe they won't be an automatic win twice a year either. So this division's hard. This is a very hard AFC West. I don't think the Chiefs win this division. But there are people out there not even counting them as a playoff team. They're going to be in the playoffs. They'll be a 5, 6, or 7 seed. I guarantee they'll be a wild card team. At the worst. I'm going to predict them as around a 6 seed, 9. I'm going to say about 10 wins, 9, 10, or 11 wins. They'll have a winning record, and they'll be competing for the playoffs. And they get in the playoffs, as we know, you got Patrick Mahomes. You have a chance 100% all day. And with that, I do think the Broncos win this division. I mean, the Broncos were a game away from the Super Bowl last year with their backup quarterback, and they almost beat the Patriots with their backup quarterback. Bo Nix, had he played that AFC Championship game, no offense to Jarrett Stidham, the Broncos absolutely go to the Super Bowl all day. I 100% believe that. That's no disrespect to New England, because they absolutely had an outstanding season as well, but that's just what it is, in my opinion. Anyone with eyes could have seen that one. And, of course, you add Jalen Waddle to that offense. The Broncos defense, they look very stout. I do think. Now the Packers went out there this last preseason game and put a wall up on them. Go check out that video for us if you haven't already done so, breaking down that big Packers victory against the Broncos. But I think the Broncos could very well win the Super Bowl this year. I do think the Broncos, I'm picking them to win this division. I do think they are the best team. I mean, they have an outstanding defense. Best corner in the league, in my opinion. He had an outstanding hit as well against Christian Watson in that preseason game. Former Defensive Player of the Year. So the Broncos are going to absolutely win this division. They're the best on paper, and they've went out there on the field last year with Sean Payton and proven that they are the best team in this division. They won the division against Kansas City and against the Chargers. So we know they can do it. They've already proven it, and they're good on paper. I do think the Broncos win this division. They've gotten a lot better, too, on offense. Adding Jalen Waddle, that's going to make that offense a lot scarier, in my opinion. And the Chargers. No one loses more money in the offseason than betting on the Chargers. The Chargers, every year, everyone says, oh, this is finally going to be the year that Justin Herbert gets his playoff win. Justin Herbert has less playoff wins than Jordan Love and Dak Prescott. And he gets a pass all day long. I don't understand it. People say Justin Herbert's miles better than Jordan Love, and I don't think Justin Herbert's a top 10 NFL quarterback. I really don't. Jordan Love belongs on that list instead of Justin Herbert. Herbert has no playoff wins. He's never won a playoff game, not even in the wild card round. People say, oh, Jordan Love only won a playoff game in the wild card round. Well, it's still a playoff game, number one, and Justin Herbert hasn't even done that. So let's keep that into consideration, number one. So there's no playoff success. I do think Jim Harbaugh is an absolutely outstanding coach, and the Chargers will be in the thick of things for the playoffs. But it's going to be hard to have 3 teams coming out of one division. It really is. I mean, the Packers did it in the NFC North a couple years back. But even last year, the NFC North couldn't get it done. Because you look at NFC North, all 4 teams had a winning record, and only 2 made the playoffs. And it's very similar in the AFC West as it is to the NFC North, as a lot of these teams are going to be competing for winning records and playoff spots. But there's only 7 playoff spots. There's only 3 wild card spots. So you're telling me one division is going to account for 2 of the 3 wildcard spots. Well, then what happens out with Jacksonville and Houston? Are one of them missing the playoffs? How about Buffalo or New England? Is one of them missing the playoffs? Someone's got to miss the playoffs out of this group. And I think 2 is going to come out of the AFC East. I know that for a fact. New England's making the playoffs. I know Buffalo is. So there's 1 wild card spot. I know someone's making it in. How about Jacksonville, Houston? Someone has to be a wild card spot out of that one, you would think, right? Well, how about the AFC North? I mean, you got Pittsburgh. They just won their division. Are they going to miss the playoffs this year? Joe Burrow? They're missing the playoffs again this year. Lamar Jackson twice in a row missing the playoffs. Math's not mathing. Someone's missing the playoffs, and I think it's going to be the Chargers. The Chargers will be around 9 wins, 8 wins at worst, and they're going to finish 3rd in this division, in my opinion. They'll be slightly worse than Kansas City. I do think that they have a chance to make the playoffs. They'll be competing for it. But let's be real here. I'm not betting against Patrick Mahomes or Bo Nix. I'm not betting against Lamar Jackson. I'm not betting against Joe Burrow if he's healthy, or Drake May or Josh Allen. Those guys have had at least some sort of playoff success in the past. But yet Justin Herbert has yet to win a playoff game. He has as many playoff wins as Tua does. So let that sink in. Herbert has no playoff wins. Everyone else I just named has at least a playoff win under their belt. Drake May does. As we know, everyone in the AFC North does. Lamar, Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen. I mean, CJ Stroud has playoff success even. So someone's missing the playoffs this year. There's only 7 spots. And I think the Chargers will be the first team looking out when it comes to the playoffs being over. Chargers will finish 3rd in this division. I'm just not convinced. I think Justin Herbert's like Phillip Rivers. He'll put up great stats. He's the next Phillip Rivers. And of course, it's eerie that he plays for the same team Phillip Rivers did. He's going to put up good stats. But when it comes to and similar to Tony Romo too. Great stats. But when it comes to actually winning and making the playoffs and making noise in January when the lights are the brightest, Herbert ain't that guy. He's just not. He's more worried about kissing on his girlfriend at practice. That is what it is. But that's all I got for this week's episode of The Unbiased Hard Take. Let me know what you guys think down below. I think the Chiefs made the playoffs over Justin Herbert and the Chargers. I'm not betting against Patrick Mahomes, and I'm not betting on Herbert to be the one to do it. Definitely not. That's a little football IQ take. What do you guys think? In the comments down below of this episode, let me know. That's all I got. Next week, we'll be making our NFL playoff predictions as well as our Super Bowl predictions. So stay tuned for that one. We're excited for that one. But until next time, that's all I got. Go Pack, go. Let's go Heat. And Bowler up, baby. We'll see y'all next week for our playoff predictions and Super Bowl predictions. Can't wait for it. See y'all.